ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवति उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। हरिः ओं श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, The Story of King Vena. Let me share the screen. Okay. Maitre Vacha Bhagavadayasте Munayo Lokanam Kshemadharshinaha Goptari Asati Vainranam Pasyantah Pashu Samyatam. The great sage Maitreya continued, O great hero Vidura, the great sages headed by Bhrigu were always thinking of the welfare of the people in general. When they saw that in the absence of King Anga there was no one to protect the interests of people, they understood that without a ruler the people would become independent and non-regulated. Veeramataram ahuya sunitam brahmavadina prakritya sammatam venam abhyasinchan patim bhuva. I'm sorry, did I read this? Because I feel we have covered this chapter. I don't know till where. Can someone help me? Did we cover the whole chapter or no? I think we didn't cover full. I think we covered till 20,
20, yeah.
25 or 24. So, okay. I don't know if Parth Prabhu, you have joined.
He's not there.
Okay, can someone make a note that I will stop the video, stop sharing. So, with this bookmark, we will edit accordingly. Okay. So, reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 14, continuing from text 23. Vena uvacha balisa batayuyam va adharme dharma maninaha ye vrityadam patim hitva jaram patim upasate. King Vena replied, You are not at all experienced. It is very much regrettable that you are maintaining something which is not religious and are accepting it as religious. Indeed, I think you are giving up your real husband who maintains you and are searching after some paramour to worship. अवजानन्त्यामि मूढं नृपरूपिणम् ईश्वरं नानुविन्दन्ति ते भद्रम् इहलोके परत्र च. Those who, out of gross ignorance, do not worship the King, who is actually the Supreme Personality of Godhead, experience happiness neither in this world nor in the world after death. को यज्ञपुरुषो नाम यत्र वो भक्तिरीदृशी भर्तृस्नेहविदुराणां यथा जारे कुयोषिताम्. You are so much devoted to the demigods, but who are they? Indeed, your affection for these demigods is exactly like the affection of an unchaste woman who neglects her married life and gives all attention to her paramour. विष्णुर्विरिञ्चो गिरीश इन्द्रो वायुर्यमो रविः पर्जन्योद्दण्डदः सोम क्षितिरग्निरपां पतिः एते चान्ये च विबुधाः प्रभवो वर शापयोः देहे भवन्ति नृपतेः सर्वदेवमयो नृपः. Lord Vishnu, Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Vayu, the master of air, Yama, the superintendent of death, the sun god, the director of rainfall, Kuvera, the treasurer, the moon god, the predominating deity of earth, Agni, the fire god, Varuna, the lord of waters, and all others who are great and competent to bestow benedictions or to curse, all abide in the body of the king. For this reason, the king is known as the reservoir of all demigods, who are simply parts and parcels of the king's body. तस्मान् मां कर्मभिर्विप्रा यजध्वं गतमत्सराः बलिं च मह्यं हरता मत्तोऽन्यः को गृहभुक् पुमान्. King Vena continued, for this reason, O Brahmanas, you should abandon your envy of me, and by your ritualistic activities you should worship me and offer me all the paraphernalia. If you are intelligent, you should know that there is no personality superior to me who can accept the first oblations of all sacrifices. मैत्रेयवाच इत्थं विपर्ययः मतिः पापीयान् उत्पतं गतः अनुनीयमानस्तद्याच्यं याज्ञां न चक्रे भ्रष्टमङ्गलः. The great sage Maitreya continued, thus the king, who became unintelligent due to his sinful life and deviation from the right path, became actually bereft of all good fortune. He could not accept the requests of the great sages, which the sages put before him with great respect, and therefore he was condemned. इत्येषत्कृतास्तेन द्विजा पण्डितमानिना भग्नायां भव्य याज्ञा याज्ञायां तस्मै विदुर चुक्रुदुः. My dear Vidura, all good fortune unto you. The foolish king, who thought himself very learned, thus insulted the great sages, and the sages, being broken-hearted by the king's words, became very angry at him. हन्यतां हन्यताम् एष पापः प्रकृतिदारुणः जीवन् जगत् असाव आशु कुरुते भस्मसाद् ध्रुवम्. All the great saintly sages immediately cried, kill him, kill him. He is the most dreadful, sinful person. If he lives, he will certainly turn the whole world into ashes in no time. नायम् अर्हत सद्वृत्तो नरदेववरासनं यो धियज्ञपतिं विष्णुं विनिन्दति अनपत्रपः. The saintly sages continued, this impious, impudent man does not deserve to sit on the throne at all. He is so shameless that he even dared insulting the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu. को वैनं परिचक्षित वेनम् एकं ऋते शुभं प्राप्त ईदृशम् ऐश्वर्यं यद् अनुग्रहभाजनः. But for King Vena, who is simply inauspicious, who would blaspheme the Supreme Personality of Godhead, by whose mercy one is awarded all kinds of fortune and opulence? इत्थं व्यवसिता हन्तुं ऋषयो रूढमन्यवः निजग्नुर्हुङ्कृतैर्वेनं हतम् अच्युत निन्दया. The great sages, thus manifesting their covert anger, immediately decided to kill the king. King Vena was already as good as dead due to his blasphemy against the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Thus, without using any weapons, the sages killed King Vena simply by high sounding words. ऋषिभिः स्वाश्रमपदं गते पुत्रकलेवरं सुनीतापालयाम् आशा विद्यायोगेन शोचति. After all the sages returned to their respective hermitages, the mother of King Vena, Sunita, became very much aggrieved because of her son's death. She decided to preserve the dead body of her son by application of certain ingredients and by chanting mantras, mantra yogena. एकदा मुनयस्ते तु सरस्वत् सलिलाप्लुताः हुत्वाग्नीन् kathaschakrur upavishtat sarit tatte. Once upon a time, the same saintly persons, after taking their bath in the river Saraswati, began to perform their daily duties by offering oblations into the sacrificial fires. After this, sitting on the bank of the river, they began to talk about the transcendental person and his pastimes. वीक्षोत्थितां तदोत्पातान् आहुर्लोकभयङ्करान् अप्यभद्रम् अथा अनाथाय दस्युभ्यो न भवेद्भुवः. In those days, there were various disturbances in the country that were creating a panic in the society. Therefore, all the sages began to talk amongst themselves. Since the king is dead and there is no protector in the world, misfortune may befall the people in general on account of rogues and thieves. एवं ऋषन्त ऋषयो दावन्तां सर्वतो दिशं पांशुः समुत्थितो भूरिश् चोराणाम् अभिलुम्पताम्. When the great sages were carrying on their discussion in this way, they saw a dust storm arising from all directions. This storm was caused by the running of thieves and rogues who were engaged in plundering the citizens. तद् उपद्रव्यम् आज्ञाय लोकस्य वसु लुम्पतां भर भर्तरि उपरते तस्मिन् अन्योन्यं च जिज्ञासतां चोरुप्रायं जनपदं हीनसत्त्वम् अराजकं लोकान्नावारायन् शक्ता अपि तद्दोषदर्शनः. Upon seeing the dust storm, the saintly persons could understand that there were a great deal of irregularities due to the death of King Vena. Without government, the state was devoid of law and order, and consequently, was a great uprising of murderers, thieves, and rogues who were plundering the riches of the people in general. Although the great sages could subdue the disturbance by their powers, just as they could kill the king, they considered it improper on their part to do so. Thus, they did not attempt to stop the disturbance. ब्राह्मण समदृक् शान्तो दीनानां समुपेक्षित समुपेक्षकः श्रवते ब्रह्म तस्यापि भिन्न भाण्डात् पयोयता. The great sages began to think that although a Brahmana is peaceful and impartial because he is equal to everyone, it is still not his duty to neglect poor humans. By such neglect, a Brahmana's spiritual power diminishes just as water kept in a cracked pot leaks out. नाङ्गस्य वंशो राजर्षेर् एष संस्थातुम् अर्हति अमोघ वीर्यया वीर्या हि नृपा वंशेऽस्मिन् केशवाश्रयाः. The sages decided that the descendants of the family of the saintly kings Anga should not be stopped, for in this family the semen was very powerful and the children were prone to become devotees of the Lord. विरिञ्चित्यैवं ऋषयो विपन्नस्य महीपतेः ममन्तुर्ऊरुं तरसा तत्रासीद् बाहुको नरः. After making a decision, the saintly persons and sages churned the thighs of the dead body of King Vena with great force and according to a specific method. As a result of this churning, a dwarf-like person was born from King Vena's body. Kako Krishnotirtihra Swango Hrashva Hrishvapan Nimna Nasagro Raktakshastamra Murdhajaha. This person born from King Vena's thighs was named Bahuka, and his complexion was as black as crow's. All the limbs of his body were very short. His arms and legs were short. His jaws were large. His nose was flat. His eyes were reddish and his hair copper colored. Tam tu te vanantam dinam kim karomiti vadinam nishidete abhruvam tata sa nishadastato bhavat. He was very submissive and meek, and immediately after his birth he bowed down and inquired, Sirs, what shall I do? The great sages replied, Please sit down, Nishida. Thus Nishida, the father of Naishada race was born. तस्य वंशास्तु नैषादा गिरिकानन गोचराः येन हरज जायमानो Venakalmasham Ulbanam. After his Nishada's birth, he immediately took charge of all the resultant actions of King Vena's sinful activities. As such, this Nishada class are always engaged in sinful activities like stealing, plundering, and hunting. Consequently, they are only allowed to live in the hills and the forests. Thus ends this chapter 14 from 4th Canto, the story of King Vena. Hare Krishna. Give me 1 second, let me pull up my notes. Into 4, chapter 14. I think last week we have covered till verse number 30, but let's quickly go through. Yeah, so we are talking about the life of King Vena. He is, of course, we can see he's coming from a devotee like Anga. But what happened is because his mother is coming from Mrityu, the Lord of Death personified here. There are these um, qualities that Vena has which were not at all favorable. And this is what the sages decided to kill because they saw this. Why? Because when the sages tried to throw some intelligence into uh, King Vena's head, rather King Vena out of envy, he was thinking the sages were envious of his own position and that's why they are um, not happy and that's why they are jealous and dealing like that. So Vena arrogantly he replied to the sages that hey, you are not experienced. The king is as good as the supreme lord. If you think the other way, you are unchaste because you are worshipping the demigods rather worshipping king because all the demigods reside in me. The king is the reservoir of all demigods. Saying all these things, he was saying Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Lord Varuna, Lord Chandra, Lord Surya, Lord Yama, everyone, yeah, all reside in the king. So one should worship the king with all respect and abandon your envy. This is our problem. That when we have envy, we don't see the envy from the other person, and then we think, okay. So king was completely envious of um, what the sages were trying to, and he thought, oh, it's not good. So sages decided now, okay, it's too much now. We tried to educate him. He's not ready to understand. So after this, the only option they have is mm, um, they wanted to kill Vena. What kind of a person he was? It is mentioned from 29 to 30 verse. It is said that developed viparyaya matihi. He has so much developed perverse intelligence. Viparya, opposite. Instead of understanding things as it is, the one who thinks the other way is called Viparya. And then he is papiyan, sinful. And then utpatam gata means deviated from the right path. Then bhrashta mangala means lost all good fortune. The principle here is as long as we are following the dharma, then we have good fortune. As soon as we deviate, then we are prone to be affected by the bad fortune. And here, what we can see in the life of Vena is same. Thought, he was thinking, Pandita Manina, he was thinking, hey, I know everything. After all, hey, I know everything. This is another problem. With all these problems, he could not accept the respectful request from the sages. On contrary, he wanted to change them. Then the sages decided kill him. They decided. So the saintly people are generally kind to everyone, but if the king becomes demonic, like serpents and scorpions, then yeah, the sages do not feel guilt of killing them. Yeah? If there is a serpent or a scorpion that is harmful to the people, so it is the duty to upset the government. So the saintly people take over this important transitional phase so that again the government can be re-established and replace it with deserving people who follow the instructions of saintly persons. Here the sages decided to kill Vena. uh, and of course, by then, because of all the misdeeds that Vena did, he's literally already, yeah, so to say, dead, from the society point of view. And with just high sound hymns uttered by the sages, Vena was simply killed. In this connection, I can relate one thing. Okay, we have a little time. One thing is that we can see from mm Chanakya Pandit. We know what Chanakya Pandit did. That he saw at that time there was this king named Dhananjaya, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, can anyone recollect Dhananjaya? Or yeah, anyway, there was this not Dhananjaya, Dhan. So there was a very polluted, intoxicated king at that time. Yeah, forgot his name. So he was very cruel. He was not at all taking care of Magadha. Excuse me. And he became such a disturbance for the lives of people. Forget, he was not taking care of the royal panel of sages, priests, who are the Brahmana community who are supposed to be well maintained by the king. But he didn't. Rather, he was just enjoying for himself, getting completely intoxicated, and in that, he was completely. Yeah, it came to a point where when the Brahmanas, who are Raja Purohit, who are talking about the welfare of the kingdom, when they came and advised, he has insulted. He has insulted Shattar and Shattar's son. Oh, sorry, long ago I have seen and read that. Then he has insulted him by keeping him in prison and even killing him. So many things that he did. And then Chanakya Pandit, at the time he was a boy, he could see that, okay, there is a strict need of changing the whole society. At least the king should be. So what he did is he has studied Niti Shastra not from one school but also from different schools of thoughts, and then has complete understanding that he became an expert. And in fact, his father, Shattar, was also an expert in Niti Shastra. And after this, what he did, he has chosen a boy who had this patriotic and spirit of ruling for the welfare of the people, who later he transformed into Chandragupta Maurya. And of course, after that, once he has established him as the king, Chanakya Pandit simply he didn't become the ruler, he didn't become the king. Rather, he found a right person, he established him. So here also we can see, anyway, long story short, here we can see when the sages are, they are not happy because the common men, the humans, poor, they are suffering, and in order to not serve them is violating one's own dharma, which means when something is happening, when one is not supporting, or sorry, when one is not objecting uh, to serve the humans, society, here we can see, then their Brahmanical power is also um, fading or leaking. Yeah, here just the example given is like a pot which has water, which has a hole. So just like how the water is going, similar the power of Brahmana, Brahma Tejas will be gone gradually. So deciding that he should be killed after the sages, so then the sages simply killed him with just kritayar, with hunkar. That's it. With that high resonating, high not resonating, high this sound that came, that simply killed Vena. And Sunita, she has preserved her son's body with some special ingredients and some special mantras. And after some time later, when the sages came, they were at the Saraswati river, and afterwards, when they were performing the yajna at that time, they were thinking, hey, what kind of calamities that we are seeing? The sages thought by killing Vena, who was so bad ruler, things may improve. But what happened is no. A country without a king is even more dangerous because the rogues, who is going to control the rogues and thieves? So they were just plundering even very badly, and like there's this dust storm that was raising because caused by the running thieves and plunderers. They were just plundering the citizens even more bad. So the sages understood this is all because of that, and it is improper on their part to be like that. So they yeah, they wanted to use the spiritual power. How? And then they started this whole uh, they thought it is very important to continue the lineage of Anga, because Anga is a devotee. Anga should not be saying, it said, thus the sages decided that the dynasty of saintly Anga should not be stopped. uh, and so that's why here we see the in the purport, Prabhupada mentions the importance of the potency of seminal succession. Sometimes we may think, hey, how can how can we encourage in democratic world? We don't want that the father's sons, they shouldn't just take on the chair. Yeah, but usually sometimes we may see that if the father is of good quality, at least that there is some spirit of what he may take by seeing, and also from the seminal value that he has attained already by birth. So the seminal succession in Brahmanas, twice born families, is called Amoga Viryaha. This purity is because of observing sanskaras or purificatory processes. That is the secret. It is not that okay, it's by chance or by norm. No, it is coming because one is performing sanskaras. So Maharaj Anga was pure and coming in the seminal succession in Dhruva's lineage, right, in the dynasty. Uh, but his semen was contaminated by the association of his wife Sunita. Hmm. uh, Due to which wicked Vena was born. However, the ingredients by which another body could be produced were there in Vena's body, and through those ways, uh, the Brahmanas, the sages, what they did is they have brought back. They took the thighs of the dead body of Vena. They were churning very, very forcibly, and from that came uh, a form which is called Bahuka. Bahuka, and there is this description of him, and it is as soon as he appeared, he was short, black colored, and all this. He just asked, "What can I do?" And then after that, he became the father of Naishadha race. And who is this Naishadha race? In Ramayana, you may see there is this guha, yeah, in what is that Pura? I forgot the name of the place. Oh my God, Shri. Anyway, so there where he is a friend of Ram, yeah. So he is also coming. That's why you see, it's also written here that they usually live in the hills and forests. So Nishadaraj, yeah, in the case of that Guha, yeah, he is coming from the lineage of this Naishada, who has come from the thigh of Vena. And the sinful descendants, because of accepting terrible sins of Vena on their on being born, Naishada's dynasty are always engaged in sinful activities and resides in hills. So here we can see that Vena's body is produced by Anga and Sunita. So there is a component. How do we say this? There is some aspects of Sunita and some of Anga. The impure portion of Vena's body resulting from Sunita was separated by the sages in the form of this degraded Bahuka. Now the pure form, yeah, that's what we will read. I think we have completed this chapter. We will read about what happened then, because anyway, the sages were not interested to only clear off the bad part, but really to get this good side of Vena or good form, yeah, so to say, from Vena in the form of King Pritha, in the form of Prithu Maharaj. That's what we will discuss next. So there's a whole series of chapters where we are going to discuss about King Prithu Maharaj. Yeah. Thank you. Any thoughts or to share? No? Then yeah, thank you very much for joining. See us tomorrow. Vanchakalpatarabhyascha. कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय. श्रील प्रभुपाद की. हरे कृष्ण.